knows about the grind. Yeah, the bubble grind.
Now we have a guy that could probably get in there if you...
It's game day. The Edmonton Oilers hit the road once again.
Stu knows about the grind. Yeah, the bubble grind.
Now we have a guy that could probably get in there if you...
It's game day. The Edmonton Oilers hit the road once again. Hello, welcome to EST Afternoons here on Edmonton Sports Talk. I'm Hernan Salas, live from the William Huff Studios here in the west end of the city. Sorry for being a little delayed there. We're on here now just dealing with some technical difficulties. It's been going on all day on every show, so apologies for that. Coming in hot, though. It's Hernan Salas, Joaquin Gage, Brendan Eric here in the house with you, and there's lots to get to. What a week it's going to be as the NHL trade deadline approaches on Friday. And man, do we have a lot of stuff to get to. New segment this week, and this week only, is called Trade Watch segment. It is presented by Nate's Construction and Leadership Supervision Program. That's coming at 1:20. We're going to talk a lot about Evander Kane, the Evander Kane situation. We're going to get to the Oilers win, look ahead. There's some news and updates from practice today. Talk some Indy Car, some John Cena, some Deebo Samuel, a new show that I'm really enjoying on Netflix. I want to see how many people are watching it. And at 2:20, we're going to try to do it every week. We're going to go to a Canadian market and see what they are planning to do on trade deadline. We'll start with the Winnipeg Jets. As senior host and producer for the Winnipeg Jets, Sara Orlesky will join us at 2:20 here. Slam that thumbs up. Hit us up on the River Cree inbox, 780-218-9999. And like always, if you're watching on the good old YouTube channel, hit us up on the Nasty Chat. Joaquin, my friend, how are you?
I'm good, buddy. How's Happy Monday?
Yeah, happy Monday. Another beautiful day. Big weekend in sports. Lots to get to, but you're remote today, taking care of a sick child. You're a good dad, Gage. You're good. You're one of the good ones.
Not really. It's not my choice, but I guess I got to do something, right?
You got to do something. Yeah. No, for sure. But yeah, we miss you here in the studios. But like I said, it's good to have you remote here as we have lots to get to, Joaquin. I don't even know where to start, man. Like, I mean, you didn't join us on post-game show on Saturday. We had Cass back. What did you think of that game? I found it truly, truly sloppy. More on Carolina's end that made the whole game looked sloppy as a whole. But at the end, all that matters was the win, right?
I guess I like slop, buddy, because I enjoyed it. I just
Did you?
Yeah,
Ooh.
I did. I liked it. I liked it looked like the Edmonton Oilers were a little bit more efficient, right? There was a little bit more desire in their game. Yeah, the Carolina did not look good until I would say the third period. And the Oilers kind of looked like a team that hadn't nursed home a win in a long time, right? So it provided some excitement. I thought that Calvin Pickard had a unbelievable hockey game in Raleigh. He was fantastic. Kulak, my boy, nothing's done on this team without him. He's the straw of this drink right now. But yeah, it's a, like I said, you come home after a rough trip, and if you go over, it sucks, right? So at least you get that a little bit of a nice taste in your mouth. I was thinking too, I think I heard you say it because I went out to an establishment with friends to watch the game, and I was coming back and I was listening to it for a sec. But I mean, Connor's been gone for a long time, right? So now he gets to come home, have a home skipped meal probably, and just get back to the normal, everyday routine of what he normally does, right? So I'm looking for him to have something big and put his mark on tomorrow night's game back home.
Brendan, people are saying my mic's low. Can you jack it up? Okay. We'll work on that as well. Yeah, it's he hadn't been home since February 7th. That's a long stretch to be on the road. As much as these guys are used to it, Joaquin, it's one of those things where he's probably happy to be in his own bed and have his own meals and see the dog, which was a big talking point on the post-game show that he misses his dog. So we get that. Listen, we're gonna get to Calvin Pickard. He was really good in that game. He made the big save on the turnover there, shorthanded, which was awful by. It's very low. People are saying my mic. Can you hear me okay, Joaquin?
Oh yeah, you're coming in 5x5, baby.
Maybe I need to yell. We'll start there.
If you turn down your headphones, you'd probably start yelling a bit louder.
Calvin Pickard made the big save. Now it sounds like he might get the start tomorrow. I know all the fan base wants him to get the start. It will be the first time he gets back-to-back starts. You know, since when, Joaquin?
October?
No, since games 3 and 4 against the Vancouver Canucks. Yeah.
Wow.
He hasn't gone back-to-back since then. So, listen, it's hard for me to say this is Pickard's team, but right now you got to run the hot guy. You're struggling. You picked up a win. It was hard-fought. And you're at home for 3 against teams you should beat. I think it's time now to be like away with, okay, we need to get Skinner going, and let's just go with the guy that gives us the best chance to win. And that right now is Calvin Pickard, Joaquin.
See, okay, I don't know. I don't agree with you. I think it should go back to Skinner. Like, I know Calvin Pickard played well, but look, that's the job.
Fair enough.
Like everyone's going nuts about his play, but it's just regular NHL goaltending. That's what you're supposed to do. You want your goalie to make the saves that he's supposed to and take away maybe a few that he doesn't, and the other team has to do something special to score them, which they had to do. That goal against was phenomenal. But let's cool our jets here. He just had a good. That's what you want. A top team in the NHL, their goaltenders should perform at that level on a regular basis. It was just what he was supposed to do. And the one thing that's not good about your goaltender playing that well is all the deficiencies that he just masked of the defensive play of the Edmonton Oilers, right? You shouldn't have that many good chances against in a game, but they just you throw those all under the mat and forget about it, and all of a sudden Calvin Pickard's the heir apparent because he had a good game, but the defensive structure of the Oilers wasn't really what it should be or supposed to be for a team that's supposed to challenge for a Stanley Cup. So,
okay, but on the flip side, Gage, you said he's doing what he's supposed to do. Skinner's not doing what he's supposed to. Is that fair?
Skinner's not completely doing what he's supposed to, but neither is the defensive structure of the Edmonton Oilers,
Sure.
right? And so during the season, I would say a goaltender can, there's certain games where you're the major factor of your team coming out with 2 points. All right. But that only happens, I would say, anywhere 4 or 5 times a year. That's it. Okay. You need help from everyone else. Sometimes a little luck thrown in there is beneficial as well. But
oh, we're losing Joaquin there. Joaquin, you still there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you just cut out there. You just cut out.
Oh,
so no
no,
worries.
I hear something else in my headphones. But anyway, yeah, no, I sorry, I got lost there. I can hear something else. I'm not sure what I'm.
You
what
hate
I'm hearing
Pickard
here.
is what we're discussing.
No, he did what he's supposed to do, man. That's what he was. That was just a good performance. I wouldn't expect anything less. Like everyone's saying, oh yeah, he's the guy, but that's what he's supposed to do. I just don't get it.
So you run Skinner tomorrow. Is that what you're saying?
He's your number one guy.
Okay.
Your second guy came in and got you 2 points. Exactly what Calvin Pickard's here to do. His price point is perfect for that. He's one of the best backups in the league this year. Okay. He's done an unbelievable job, but come on, man. You go with your number one guy. You got to get him back in there. He has to start feeling better about his game. I think it would be a mistake. I think it's a big mistake to play Calvin Pickard tomorrow and not go back to Stuart Skinner.
Okay, I like it, Joaquin. You're bringing the heat on this Monday. You're probably one of the few that's saying roll with Skinner. I've kind of turned a bit, and I'm like, go with Pickard. I think he earned it last game. He was excellent. That big save at the end there, held on to the lead for the Edmonton Oilers. I do understand it though, because I'm still with you in the sense that Skinner's your number one, Joaquin. And people are going to be like, well, if Pickard gets a run here and he's really good, he can be your number one. But that's not going to happen, right? That's just not realistic.
No, he's a stopgap guy, right? He's shown that he can do that job. Being a backup is not easy. All right, especially coming in and being able to put a performance like that together. That's very impressive, man. He was. I won't take anything away from him, but again, that's what your goaltenders should do on a more consistent basis. He's a gamer, man. He battles, but I have a hard time saying that he's going to be your guy come game 83. It's got to be Stuart Skinner. I think when he gets his game to its highest level, which he needs to do, easier said than done. But I guess I would say his ceiling is much higher, and his ability to steal games and make saves that you're not supposed to, and just provide that calm sense for while your team is without the puck, that your guy's back there and you feel comfortable and secure in his play. We've seen it before. This team, when Stuart Skinner's on, this team is playing well. They are very difficult to play against.
Joaquin, I don't think you'll be surprised, but the Nasty Chat does not agree with you. Stuart Skinner,
whatever.
or
Did they ever play goal? Yeah,
exactly.
Go stop a puck.
Sorry about that. Stuart Skinner or Calvin Pickard for tomorrow. I say Calvin. Gager says Stewie.
Okay.
What say you? But
you're lucky I'm not there today, buddy.
But show your work, like Lieutenant Eric says on the morning show. Why should Calvin Pickard get the start? Is it simple because he won last game? Or is there more to it? And a lot of people are saying let Skinner play because it's a lesser team, even though they're pretty hot as of late, the Anaheim Ducks. They're no walkover here. But he needs to eventually start feeling it and finding his game. Why not against the Anaheim Ducks? So I get it. I truly do. Gager, some updates from practice today. All right. Arvidsson and Ekholm maintenance day, as Knobloch alluded to, he gave the Four Nations players the option to practice today. The only one that said he'll go is McDavid, and that's good because he's been struggling mightily. So this does not revolve around a trade for Victor Arvidsson, so everybody can calm those talks as well. Nurse looks like he'll be back in the lineup tomorrow. So these are your lines at practice. Of course, we're not going to run the D pairings because two guys are out. Kulak's sick, but is expected to play tomorrow, Joaquin.
Sick of playing so good.
he's sick of playing so damn good. You know what? On the postgame show for the first time since I've been here, we gave him back-to-back player of the game.
Really?
Yeah, people were pissed at me because I didn't pick Pickard, but Kulak was a beast in that game in Carolina.
Yeah, they don't score that second goal like without him. Like he was just all over it, man. 26 minutes of ice time. That's it's crazy. And I mean, you could have given you could have sawed that award in half, buddy, and gave it to both.
No, I wanted to give it to Kulak.
Okay, good.
RNH with McDavid and Hyman, Podkolzin with Draisaitl and Matt Savoy, Janmark with Enrique and Brown, Skinner with Kapanen and Perry. Now, Arvidsson with the maintenance day, he might slide in with Draisaitl and Podkolzin. Savoy would be out. We don't know yet, but at least Savoy was taking top 6 reps today. We'll see what happens. Okay, Joaquin, we're going to get out here. We're going to come back with a trade watch segment. We're going to talk about Mr. Evander Kane. And a story that kind of broke this morning. I'm going to call them the Edmonton no movement clauses because holy smokes. We just found out today that 3 players have no movement clauses. I can't believe they have no movements. I truly can't. And this kind of comes down to the Evander Kane LTIR money because half the roster can't be traded, Joaquin. We're going to get to all that coming up next here on EST Afternoons here on Edmonton Sports Talk. The afternoon inbox is presented by the River Cree Resort and Casino, home of Tap 25 Restaurant, where the entire menu is 50% off 7 days a week from 2 to 5 p.m. Keep slamming that thumbs up. Let's get to 100 on trade deadline week. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. We're going to go 6-6. I know Friday we're going to cover this like crazy and see what the Oilers can do to add to their team. But coming up next, Trade Watch segment with Joaquin Gage and Hernan Salas here on EST Afternoons. Here's Brendan Eric with your sports update.
The Oilers' practice this morning saw a couple notable absences, including Matthias Ekholm, Victor Arvidsson, and Brett Kulak. The Swedes took the option when given it. Kulak is sick, but not expected to miss any time. 6 games across the NHL featuring the Battle of New York taking place at MSG when the Rangers host the Islanders. The Sharks travel to Toronto to take on the Leafs, and the Lightning head across state to face off against the Panthers. Panthers, they will be without Matt Tkachuk for the remainder of the season, but they are hopeful that his groin will be good to go for playoffs. 7 games in the association, including the Grizzlies welcoming the Hawks. The Heat see the Wizards come to town, and the Rockets hit the road to tip off against the West-leading Thunder. Pro Football Hall of Famer Jimmy Johnson has called quits on his broadcasting career. The 81-year-old was a member of the NFL on Fox panel since 2000. This sports update is brought to you by Gimme Virtual Golf. Step into a whole new golfing experience with 240 unique courses for you to play, featuring innovative technology that automatically tees up your ball while replicating real-life ball lies, shifting the ball in 24 different directions. Gimme Virtual Golf, where innovation meets the game. Visit their website at GimmeVirtualGolf.ca. Trade Watch around the break. I'm Brendan Eric, and you're up to date.
The EST Hangout.
The Oilers are going to go do something about goaltending in advance of next Friday. There's various camps. There's camps that say this team needs a starting goalie to go win the Stanley Cup. There's other camps saying you're not throwing away Skinner, just they need to solidify their goaltending a little bit more going into the playoffs. And then there's the third camp, which is the run with these 2 guys.
These 2 guys are affordable, serviceable. It's a head game. They'll come out of it.
The EST Hangout, presented by Sentinel Storage. Weekday mornings 9 to 11, only on Edmonton Sports Talk. Your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
Love is in the air. I love you. And you? And you? And you! Why choose between your beloved items? Sentinel Storage, keeping your treasures safe to be loved again. Try 4 weeks free. Details at sentinelstorage.ca.
Hey Edmonton, ready to take advantage of lower rates and better pricing? South Fort Chevrolet in Fort Saskatchewan has you covered. From rugged trucks to sleek SUVs. And with over 40 years in business, you can trust that you're getting the best deal on your new ride. As the proud title sponsor of the Nielsen Show, EST listeners can drive a little to save a lot with South Fort Chevrolet's transparent pricing and down-to-earth sales team. Visit us today in Fort Saskatchewan or online at southfortchev.com.
Your home for live music and great performances is the River Cree Resort and Casino. Don't miss the internationally recognized tribute, the Alan Jackson Experience, April 18th at the River Cree Resort and Casino. Get your tickets at rivercreeresort.com. River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement? Bet on it.
Hungry and need it now? The Canadian Brewhouse Express Lunch, served in under 15 minutes or it's free, Monday to Friday till 2 p.m. Roasted turkey club and soup, Alberta Wagyu ravioli, and more. Fast, fresh, and no excuses. Get to the Canadian Brewhouse. Our house is your house.
124. Welcome back to EST Afternoons here on Edmonton Sports Talk. I'm live from the William Huff Studios. Gager's live from his office in the south side of Edmonton. That song, Gager, took me back to junior high, my friend. Junior high. Do you know it?
Yeah, I think I do. But yeah.
Some PM Dom there.
Yeah, that's baby. You send me.
See, hey, you know. Like always, hit us up on the River Korean box, 780-218-9999. Keep the messages coming to the Nasty Chat on the YouTube channel. Slam that thumbs up, a little slow off the start. Let's get to 100. Let's go. Coming up in the second hour, Sara Orlesky, senior host and producer for the Winnipeg Jets. And we're going to see what the Jets are going to do. They're the top team in the league right now. Do they need to add? We'll ask Sara those questions in the second hour. All right, Joaquin.
Hold on, buddy. Can I just say something to all these maniacs in the nasty chat here?
Of course.
I don't know how many former goalies are in there that played at any sort of level, but I can tell you from playing professional hockey I consider myself kind of having a PhD in goaltending. Okay. I've never a good practice, a few good days of practice, even if I stopped every shot, was no substitute than going into a game and playing well. Quit telling me all this stuff about, he needs to go play hard in practice. And that doesn't mean anything. There's no repercussions of allowing a goal in practice aside from anything else. He needs to get game type situations to get his game back. That's where you're going to get it back. All right. I'm seeing all this stuff. Oh, he needs to go work out and practice. That's ridiculous. You're not gonna do that. That's not gonna get his game better. You can practice for next 3 years. He needs to go play some games. Come on.
No one better to know than someone who played the game at a professional level like you did. NHL, you were in Europe. And I'm glad you said that because I think we sometimes read too much into practice and he's going to find his game there. Goalies find their games playing games, man.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
That's how you work your way out of it. Yeah. That's the only way. Like, does Connor need to take a game off to get his game back and practice a lot? Listen to myself. It's ridiculous.
All right, let's get to the Trade Watch segment presented by Nate's Construction and Leadership Supervision Program. Take your career to the next level with Nate's Construction Leadership and Supervision Program, a perfect tool for professionals looking to advance their role or an organization needing to develop leaders. For more information, visit and to register, visit nate.ca/CLSP to take your career to another level. All right, Joaquin, we were texting about this on the weekend. Evander Kane, Elliot Friedman had it on Hello Hockey with Tommy and Sean, where he submitted his 16-team no trade. The Oilers probably doing their due diligence, seeing if there's any takers. At the end of the day, it sounds like he wants to play. Sounds like he's going to be ready before the end of the season. I know fans are all up in arms about this, but I got a hot take after about this. But I just want to get your thoughts on this whole Evander Kane, because with all this news that Adam Henrique and Matthias Janmark and Victor Arvidsson have no movement clauses, which blows my mind, Joaquin. The Oilers don't have a lot of assets to move right now, and they have no money unless that LTIR money is freed up. What are your thoughts on Evander Kane here?
Well, the Edmonton Oilers got 91 problems, and Evander Kane's one. Yeah, it's amazing that he has done this. What show was it? They asked, what's the biggest disappointment this year? I've said it's Evander Kane, not knowing his time frame. Like, he is completely handcuffing this team to do anything this year, and it's coming down to a few days left. It looks like they will be unable to use this cap space that they should have available to them. And yeah, it from all accounts, and we obviously we don't know exactly what I'm speculating right now, but from what I've heard and what I'm seeing and hearing is he's going to come back with a couple games left in the season and then start playing, which, you know, I would be okay with it if this injury happened later in the year.
Yeah,
he was back to normal. But look, this guy hasn't played in almost a calendar year.
Yeah.
And you can't tell me a 33-year-old, 34-year-old is going to be at the peak level of his game after sitting out and starting to play at this time of year. It just makes things very difficult. A lot of people have said it, and I tend to agree right now. The Oilers aren't as good a team now as they were at this point last season, and the fact that they can't they won't have the best opportunity to improve their team with what they've been able to accrue over the last year, it makes it very difficult, and it's unfortunate, very unfortunate.
Okay, Joaquin, I'm gonna lay this out for you, and I want our Nazis to let me know if they agree with me or not, and I want your thoughts, Joaquin, because you played this game. Evander Kane has a right to want to come back if he's ready before the regular season. It's his right. Yep. He's a professional player. He's thinking about his career. He wants to play. He wants to add to this team, and he's a hell of an addition if he's 100% healthy going into whatever it is, the final 2 games into the playoffs. He's exactly what this team is missing right now. So it's not Evander Kane's fault that people don't like the goaltend. It's not Evander Kane's fault that this team still needs a top 4 defenseman. It's not Evander Kane's fault that a lot of the forward side in the offseason are not working out. Like, for the people saying that he's being selfish and he's got to put the team first, he's thinking about his career, and that is his right. If he wants to play the last 5 games and go into the playoffs with some games under his belt, I'm sorry, but you can't blame him. He's looking out for Evander Kane, and I think a lot of players would do the same thing, Joaquin. Am I off my rocker here? Like, we're putting all this on Evander Kane when he didn't build this team.
No. And you can't have that discussion with him, right? That's I get it, right? But you're look around the league when this has happened. You know, you look at the Kucherov a few years ago, sure, when he was skating by himself for a month, you know, saying, "Oh, not right," and then wearing T-shirts saying $115 million salary cap or something, you know, like he knew what was at stake and kind of, and I look, I understand Evander Kane thinks he's one confident individual. He thinks that if he comes back, he's going to be the best Evander Kane that you've ever seen. And he's going to be a difference maker. Right. So that's great to have a confident, bona fide NHL player in your lineup, but he's a needed piece too.
Yes.
There's his game at its highest level. We've seen it. He's able to take over a playoff series, and that's encouraging. But I just think there's parts of this team and maybe we're just used to this LTIR thing and how teams are navigating it. Look, the bottom line about this whole thing, buddy, is they need to adjust the rules in playoffs. Bottom line.
Okay.
That's what they have to do. You have to make your team cap compliant once you hit the ice in the playoffs. You can have it over, all right?
Mm-hmm.
Once playoffs come, you can have a $300 million roster, but you have to have that the 88.5 million cap compliant for the games itself, right? Just fix it. Fix the whole thing, and then we're not even talking about this.
Yeah, and listen, of course, I want the Oilers to be able to use that money because then you can get an impact player. I'm not saying I don't want. All I'm saying is Evander Kane. It's his right to say no. I want to play by game 76, and that's.
But is that selfish? Because he's not an idiot. He knows what the Oilers could do with his room, right?
Yeah.
So what does that say?
This is more on Jeff Jackson and Stu Bowman. You know why? Because they handed out no movement clauses like crazy, Gage. Why does Adam Enrique have one? Why does Victor Arvidsson have one? Why does Jeff Skinner have one? Why the hell? And it's a 10-team no trade, so it's a limited or whatever you want to call it, modified no move. Matthias Janmark for 3 freaking years. Like, Oiler fans should be pissed off at the management, not at Evander Kane. Are you kidding me, Joaquin?
Hey, dude, look, and I'll say it, and we've said it numerous times on our show. When the signings happened last summer, we were like, we have 2 kids in a candy store. We're shoving our faces full of chocolate, thinking this was money, right? But so now let me ask you a question. All right,
sure.
You ready for this?
Let
me lay this on you.
Let's go.
So you've got Ken Holland, a career evaluator of talent. Like when he was in Detroit, he started in like scouting and player development and worked his way all the way up to GM. Over that course of, 30 years or whatever it was, you become a pretty good evaluator of a team and the talent. His vision is solely of a general manager's position, right? Building a championship team.
Yeah.
Now you pivot, you hire Jeff Jackson, who he does check a few boxes, right? He was a former player at one point, but now you have a player agent. Okay. A player agent, in my mind, I think views talent of a player a little bit differently than a career general manager in the NHL would look at that player. He sees more of the bottom line, the stats, the past. He looks at it through a different type of lens, where I think Ken Holland sees the way he sees the building of a team. You heard it when he came here. He said, we got to get bigger and faster. Yeah. That's what he said. When Jeff Jackson took over, we had great resumes, which are great for agents when negotiating, but the Edmonton Oilers got significantly smaller, slower, and more expensive. I don't know.
I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of those Kenny haters are sitting right now saying, damn, I wish he had one more year, because maybe he matches Holloway and Broberg.
We don't know if his hands were tied. They probably were, right?
He's on his way out. They're not going to make him let him make huge decisions.
Yeah, and everything was run by, right? And he gets there was some good pickups at the deadline, I thought, at the time, right? Yeah. But they were more insulating, aside from Adam Enrique. Everyone else was kind of just making sure if there were some injuries throughout the playoff run, you had some plug and play guys. But I don't think Ken Holland had it. The keys to the car, the fob was thrown out. The battery, actually, that fob did run out, so he couldn't open the door and make any deal.
So these are the guys with no movements, and some of them, I mean, it's good. I mean, Leon, Hyman, Nuge, sure. You don't want those guys to go anywhere. Evander Kane and Janmark have a modified, right? Okay. Then you have Enrique Skinner and Victor Arvidsson Gager. And those three guys, for me, you want to sign here in Edmonton, a Stanley Cup contending team that just went to Game 7 of Stanley Cup Finals. I'll give you a deal, and I'll give you a 2-year deal. But I ain't giving you a no movement, buddy. Like, I can't believe that the only guys available, Corey Perry, Connor Brown, Kasperi Kapanen, and Vasily Podkolzin. Like, that's what you can trade without having to go through the hurdle of, hey, do you mind lifting your no movement? We got to do this, we got to do that. They've screwed themselves. Sorry, it's not Evander Kane's problem. You know whose problem this is? Jeff Jackson and Stan Bowman, whatever his name is. Like, that's the issue here. Like, come on, Gager. Like, these new movements are ridiculous. Beyond ridiculous. Awful. I couldn't believe it when Elliot Freeman was reporting this today. And then just by chance, I looked up Janmark, and a 10-team modified for 3 years.
Yeah.
For 3 years. Like, they screwed themselves, and now they're banking on one player to use his money? You think that's fair? And everybody's like, well, Kane's not a team guy. Come on. Like, I don't buy he's not a team guy. He's looking out for himself. He wants to be a part of it, Gager. He wants to win the cup here.
Oh, yeah. It's look, you get graded on what you've done in the past, and it hasn't worked out at all. Then they've found themselves in a real tough spot. Yeah, the no movements. It's funny on the Puckpedia, they have those anchors beside guys because they might as well be. They just you can't do anything with them, and the player has all this power. I don't. And the reason why, like, what was that the sweet part of the deal? Like, to sweeten the deal for these guys to come? Like, you have a chance to win a Stanley Cup. That should be enough. If they said, no, I want a no movement. Well, you know what?
Bingo.
We should find someone else, right? Because you know what a no movement does? Provides you with a little bit more, you get all cozy. Sometimes being uncomfortable has that little bit of that carrot to make you try to increase your level of play a little bit. There's a certain amount of guys that I think are warranted no movement clauses, but man, it's just anchor.
Yeah, like if it's Leon McDavid, give them everything they want. But let's just, for example, Victor Arvidsson doesn't have one, and you want to move him. You free up $4 million, Joaquin. You free up $4 million. You want to move from Adam Enrique, you free up $3 million. That's $7 million where you can improve your team. Instead, the anchors, man. This is truly unbelievable. And I don't know how none of us knew this, or I don't even know if it was on Puckpedia, to be honest with you. I can't say that for sure. But how we didn't know this, and this is just coming to light on the week of the trade deadline. I mean,
I thought it was. I thought they were, but I can't remember.
I've never heard of these guys having no moves. I was blown away that Skinner got one for 1 year. Jeff Skinner.
I knew that. So
I just, oh man, Joaquin, like it. And listen, I get it. The $5 million that Evander Kane could free up, it'd be a godsend for this team. It would. But again, it's his call. And he has the right to make his call that benefits him the most.
Yeah, let's hope he's the missing piece, I guess, right? For Oilers fans, anyway.
I mean, they could use a player like Evander Kane, don't you think?
Yeah, that's the sandpaper. That's the type of player that they've missed, I'd say, for the bulk of the season. You see what he does. He gets in the face. Like, he causes players to start thinking about him rather than the rest of than the actual hockey game itself. The only player that does that currently on the Oilers right now, partially Leon does that a little bit. Like, there's some grumpiness to his game where people are looking to get retribution at times because there's a little bit of dirt that or sand that Leon kicks in people's eyes. But Evander, just yapping, the way he finishes checks. He can limit some of those things, and if push comes to shove, he can back all that stuff up too, right? So
crazy, man. Trade Watch segment brought to you by Nate's Construction and Leadership Supervision Program. I like this one, JCD. Speaking of Nate Trade Watch, I started at Nate today. My instructor looks exactly like Hernan. Dude's a beauty too. Oh, that's too. And people are fired up, man. Like, people are upset at Kane. People are upset at Gager for saying Skinner should get the start tomorrow. People are upset at Jeff Jackson and Stan Bowman. Like, it's going to be a feisty weekend, Gager. And someone put in there, Struddy disagrees. I think he meant Struddy disagrees with you.
Talk about a guy that relied his whole career on good goaltending. Like, Jesus. My gosh. He should have donated half his salary to all the goalies that were in front of him.
All right, we will continue the Oiler talk. We want your messages to the River Cree inbox, 780-218-9999, and on the Nasty Chat. We got 198 watching, Joaquin. You can tell this is a big week. We only have 49 thumbs up. Let's get to 100. It should be very easy. All we need is about 51 of you to slam that. And don't stop there. Let's keep it going. And in the second hour, Sara Orlesky from the Winnipeg Jets. We're going to talk some IndyCar. We're going to talk some John Cena. And a new show I started, Gager, and I think you're going to like it. And I think a lot of our nasties will like it as well. We got tons more to come here on EST Afternoons. We're back after the break. More Oilers talk on the way. Here's Brendan with your sports update.
The Oilers' practice this morning saw a couple notable absences, including Ekholm, Arvidsson, and Kulak. The Swedes took the option when they were given it. Kulak is sick but not expected to miss any time. 6 games across the NHL featuring the Battle of New York taking place at MSG, where the Rangers host the Islanders. The Sharks travel to Toronto to take on the Leafs. And the Lightning go across state to face off against the Panthers, who will be out without Matthew Tkachuk for the remainder of the season. 7 games in the association, including the Grizzlies welcoming the Hawks. The Heat see the Wizards come to town, and the Rockets hit the road to tip off against the West leading Thunder. The Toronto Tempo, the newest WNBA expansion team, has announced that tennis legend Serena Williams is joining their ownership group. This sports update is presented by Capital Care. Financial support deeply affects residents at Capital Care, whether it's a one-time donation or a monthly contribution. Every penny counts. Find out how you can donate at capitalcarefoundation.net. More Salas and Gage after the break. I'm Brendan Eric, and you're up to date.
The Reed Wilkins Show with Jay Milne.
I still think there's a mystique to seeing a live sporting event. Still like that feeling of walking into a stadium or an arena and seeing the empty field or the empty sheet of ice and thinking something cool might happen here tonight. They get to go to the Oilers home games and watch from the press box, and I still like that feeling of where you see the ice.
The Reed Wilkins Show with Jay Milne, weekday afternoon 3 to 6, only on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
Joaquin Gage at K4 Financial, where expertise meets dedication. I will always look for a careful approach to your retirement, ensuring your financial future is secure. From tailored strategies to clear, actionable advice, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Don't leave your future to chance. Get in touch with me, Joaquin Gage, today at k4financial.ca or email joaquin.gage@k4financial.ca to start planning for a brighter future and a more secure retirement.
Your home for live music and great performances is the River Cree Resort and Casino. Don't miss the internationally recognized tribute, the Alan Jackson Experience, April 18th at the River Cree Resort and Casino. Get your tickets at rivercreekresort.com. River Creek Resort and Casino. Excitement? Bet on it.
Welcome back to EST Afternoons. Man, the shows today have been on fire. You can tell something exciting's coming down the pipe. Friday, it all happens. And the trade deadline, look at us, Gage, ends at 1 p.m. on Friday. We're going to be going right into the that's going to be the hot spot for sure. So hopefully we can line up some Edmonton guests and break down what the Oilers do. Cole Harbor Joe, I recently working in Janmark's new house. He's building. He's not waving his new move. Juan says Oilers should have been built better in the summer, so Kane coming back was another deadline deal. I totally agree. Looney Land says he's just afraid if he goes on LTR to the playoffs, he'll be replaced basically by who? Don't forget those losses of players to the offer sheets. Oh, we don't. And everybody brings it up quite often, especially because, Holloway's having an outstanding season. Broberg pretty damn good as well. I think he scored 2 goals in a game last week. I didn't want to bring it up because you know what's going to happen. Keep the messages coming to the River Korean box, 780-218-9999. Also hit us up on the Nasty Chat and slam that thumbs up. A lot better, 67, so only 33 away. We should get there by, let's say, 11 minutes. Got a lot of people watching, so it's going to be interesting. Over the weekend, Joaquin, a guy you're really high on, but probably not realistic for the Oilers, Seth Jones. The rich get richer as they acquire Seth Jones. That D-core in Florida is unreal right now. They do send Spencer Knight, who's potentially could be a legit number 1 guy down the road, to Chicago. A couple picks also being swapped there. Seth Jones, man, he got his wish. He's going to a hell of a team, buddy.
He did get a chance to battle for a cup, right? What we saw from Florida, and I actually watched a little bit of the Calgary game as well over the weekend. It was the next day. They dominated the Flames for the better part of it, but and figured it out in overtime. But they manhandled the Flames for the better part of it. It was a pretty good game. But to add Jones as well, eventually when Matthew Tkachuk gets back, you got looking at that Eastern Conference. And I know they've played a ton of hockey, but remember when we were talking to his name just escapes me, down in Florida the other day.
George Richards.
George, yeah. He was saying how that team seems to just find a way when they play the big boys. And he didn't say it right out, but he says it sounds like they kind of take it easy against the lower end teams and just have found that rhythm that you need for the 82 game schedule. And they're going to be right there.
Yeah, if you missed it over the weekend, Gustav Nyquist to the Wild. The Rangers get DeHaan, Juuso Parssinen, and 2 picks from the Avs in return for Jimmy Vesey and Ryan Lindgren and the rights to Hank Kempf. So a couple deals already coming down the pipe. It seems like the Rangers are selling off. Riley Smith being held out of tonight's game for trade purposes. I saw Anthony Duclair is also going to sit out tonight for the Islanders, so there's another interesting name. I just want to get back to Evander Kane real quick here, Joaquin. There's no way, I just can't imagine that the Edmonton Oilers management and Evander Kane don't know what's going to go down by Friday. There's no way that they're still like, Evander, what are you going to do? I would be floored if that's the truth.
Well, I don't know. They have to. It's a professional organization. they have to know something. Like, he comes in to be evaluated, I believe, by the Edmonton doctors, right?
Yeah.
So he's not, from all accounts, he's not there around the team that much. Like, it's either after or, or during practice he's in there, but I'm sure they have some sort of idea of his progression. It's all up to him now. It was, we had the green room interview when back a couple months ago. It was quite cryptic. He's holding the cards close to his chest, which is understandable, right? Couldn't really give a timeline. He had his knee worked on, and he's got to wait till that kind of clears up before he can get back to rehabbing every other ailment that he went into the season with, right? So, yeah, man, is he the piece? Like, what's most important for the Edmonton Oilers right now? I'm looking at a significant splash on D that they require to really solidify their defensive play, because I think that's where a lot of the help that they need is. But there is also the point where a power forward who can contribute offensively, because, hey, look, no one else has, aside from the usual suspects, right? Evander Kane has worked well before and been able to put up some points. If you were to tell me that, well, Jeff Skinner's kind of leading, but I thought he would be a lot more prevalent in the top six. But Corey Perry, if you tell me Corey Perry's like, not only is he the only agitator, but a guy that's consistently scoring goals too. That's his sort of intangible assets I thought would be more beneficial in the playoffs, not the regular season.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. And let's say it doesn't go to LTIR. I'd like to hear Stan Bowman's comments on Friday, because I think the management's going to get absolutely torched if they can't make something happen. And listen, I think we also got to be realistic here. And you never know. I mean, maybe he pulls one out, right, and says, hey, he lands an Ekholm-like player. But I just don't know. I don't know what to think going into Friday. I think they're going to add Joaquin, but I don't know if it's going to be Ekholm-like or Stetcher-like from last year or somewhere in between. Do you know what I mean? Like, I have no idea where they're going with this.
Well, if anything taught us in the past, it's usually someone that you don't think's available, right? I mean, if you, like, when Ekholm, they said, though, Edmonton Oilers got Matthias Ekholm. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was crazy. With the Vegas Golden Knights last year, they got Hurdle. How? So but those types of relationships, those types of conversations, from what I gathered, how Ken Holland described the whole process of getting Matthias Ekholm to Edmonton, those conversations started, like, I think way back before the season, right? And with those types of relationships. So you hope that Stan Bowman's been and I'm sure he's been trying to do his due diligence to knock on doors and see what's there. But I think you have to look. I'm not a GM by any means. It's fun to do on video games, but I can just flick a switch and make things happen, right? You got to figure that he has the best idea of what his team actually needs, and he's been pursuing those assets all season. Because this is win now, right? This isn't building for the future here. If you were in his office, there's probably somewhere where he has a few names circled that he's been pursuing for a long period of time. But again, like you said, with these, you got to pull up anchors with a lot of these guys to get them to move.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah, I don't know. I know, as like the fan in you, right? Gage is always like, I want the more deals, the better, right? But I mean, it's so, like, you're being held here by this whole Evander Kane LTIR money, and that's the big one. Because if not, it's money in and money out, because the Oilers have no money walking. So it's got to be one of those things where, Yeah, I'm laughing also because a lot of fans have taken social media to chirp Edmonton media for not knowing the no movement clauses. Well, the top insiders in hockey didn't know them.
Oh.
So
they weren't on.
Yeah, so
they
usually
weren't on Puckpedia?
No, usually when they're announced. So that's how you get it. Like no one's getting no movement. Like it's usually announced with the deal and you know it and it's on Puckpedia. I don't know. I can't say if it was on Puckpedia or not because I didn't see it. Like I wasn't looking for that specifically. So I really don't know, but I think it's funny that just any reason to chirp the media, now it's their fault that no one knew about the no movement. So
they didn't hand them out. So
yeah,
I don't see how it's their fault. Jeez. Or maybe they were added over the last week. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know what to tell you, man. I don't know what to tell you on that sense, but it's going to be a fun week. Of course, we'll have Trade Watch segment every day here leading up to the trade deadline. Also on the Oil Stream, on the morning show, and on the Reed Wilkins show. That's coming up at 3. They'll take you right up till 6. They'll have handsome Luke Gazdick on. So make sure to keep it locked on Edmonton Sports Talk. All week will be 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. And on Friday, we're going to go all in. It's all a trade deadline, and we'll see what the Oilers will bring in and ship out. And, I mean, worst case, can you imagine they make no moves?
Oh my God. I mean, at least
smokes.
That's the one thing about the nasty chat. Even though they're clueless when it comes to how to get a goalie back in his groove, how a goalie got his groove back. But it's for great discussion in there. And I'm sure if the Oilers do not,
boy, I might take the day off.
If they don't make their team better, I don't know if significantly. I don't think you need to make your team significantly better, but you have to do something.
Kulak's not helping the cause, buddy, because he's playing great, and then they can think, oh, we can get by. No, you need to add.
Yeah, you need to add. You need another Kulak. Is what you need.
That'd be ideal.
Yeah.
Portions of this hour brought to you by the Canadian Brew House. This St. Patrick's Day, the Canadian Brew House is giving you your shot at winning a trip for 2 to Ireland. Plus, enjoy Guinness and green beer specials. So drink up, enter to win, and let the luck of the Irish do its thing. Canadian Brew House. All right, that does it for hour 1. Lots of Oilers talk. We'll continue it into hour 2. And we'll also touch on a lot of other topics from this weekend. John Cena turning heel. Deebo Samuel getting traded to the Commanders. Hernan's first experience watching IndyCar. Oh boy, I'm gonna break it down, Joaquin. I don't think
I watched a bit.
I don't think you're gonna like what I have to say, buddy. But we'll get to all that in the second hour, and of course, Sara Orlesky from the Winnipeg Jets will join us to see what the top team in the league is thinking ahead of Friday's deadline. That's all coming up here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Keep hammering that thumbs up. Let's get to 100. We got 206 watching. We only need 28. So if 28 of you right now, just go there. Slam that thumbs up. We'd greatly appreciate it. And don't stop at 100. Let's keep going and see how many we can get today. All right. We're back after the break here on Edmonton Sports Talk, EST Afternoons. Joaquin Gage and Hernan Salas.
Get your fix every single game with the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame and postgame shows with Tom Gazzola and Hernan Salas. Whether it's breaking down the starting lineup, predicting key matchups, or diving deep into the game's biggest moments, Tom and Hernan are here to give you the best insight and analysis in the city. After the final horn, get the breakdown of every key moment, performance, and player reactions. It's your one-stop shop for all things game day. Catch the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame and postgame shows with Tom Gazzola and Hernan Salas, only on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
Make your birthday legendary at the Canadian Brew House with epic food, killer drinks, and an unbeatable vibe. Plus, download the Canadian Brew House app and score free nachos on your big day. Book your party now to celebrate like a pro. The Canadian Brew House. Our house is your house.
Love is in the air.
I love you.
And you? And you? And you! Why choose between your beloved items? Sentinel Storage, keeping your treasures safe to be loved again. Try 4 weeks free. Details at sentinelstorage.ca.
Hey Edmonton, ready to take advantage of lower rates and better pricing? South Fort Chevrolet in Fort Saskatchewan has you covered. From rugged trucks to sleek SUVs. And with over 40 years in business, you can trust that you're getting the best deal on your new ride. As the proud title sponsor of the Nielsen Show, EST listeners can drive a little to save a lot with South Fort Chevrolet's transparent pricing and down-to-earth sales team. Visit us today in Fort Saskatchewan or online at southfortchev.com.
Got some gently used furniture or home goods that need a new home? Find Edmonton is here to help. Every month we furnish over 100 homes to those transitioning out of homelessness, and we need your gently used furniture and home goods. Drop off at 5120 122nd Street or call for free local pickup. Just visit findedmonton.com to learn how your donations can help create a home for someone in need. Plus shop our thrift store, in-store or online, with proceeds benefit those moving out of homelessness through housing supports. Visit us at findedmonton.com. Find Edmonton, supporting our community one home at a time.
The Oilers practice this morning saw a couple notable absences as Ekholm, Arvidsson, and Kulak all were not going. The Swedes took the option when given it, and Kulak is sick but not expected to miss any time. 6 games across the NHL featuring the Battle of New York taking place at MSG when the Rangers host the Islanders. Ottawa meets up with the Caps in Washington, and the Lightning head across the state to face off against the Panthers, who will be without Matt Tkachuk for the remainder of the season. They are hopeful that his growing will be good for playoffs. 7 games in the association, including Golden State in Charlotte. The Mavs welcome the Kings, and the Rockets at the road to tip off against the West leading Thunder. After 5 seasons with the Eagles, Darius Slay has become a cap casualty. After dumping the 34-year-old, the Eagles will save $4.3 million against next year's cap. Sara Orlesky, only a segment away till then. Hernan and Gage. I'm Brendan Eric, and you're up to date.
Hour 2 here on EST Afternoons. Joaquin Gage, Hernan Salas, Brendan Eric with you. Coming up at 3, the Reed Wilkins Show with Jay Milne, of course. They'll have the wonderful former Oiler Luke Gastic on the show. We're 15 minutes away from Sara Orlesky out of Winnipeg. So we'll get a good idea of what Winnipeg's thinking ahead of the trade deadline. Like always, hit us up on the River Cree inbox, 780-218-9999. The afternoon inbox is presented by the River Cree Resort and Casino, home of the Kitchen Restaurant. All-you-can-eat prime rib buffet for just $49.99 every Sunday from 4 to 10 p.m. Keep the messages coming there. Keep them coming on the Nasty Chat. Let's slam that thumbs up. Let's get to 100 here shortly. 24 away, 192 watching. The math doesn't add up, but yeah. And if you missed the first hour and you want to hear all of the great Oilers talk, Joaquin Gage take, my takes, Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts, just go to EST Afternoons, hit the follow button, and we'd greatly appreciate it. All it does is put our content to the top of your feed. That's all it will do. So please follow us there, and not just EST Afternoons, but every show here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Hey, quickly here, just going to get away from the Oilers real quick, Gage. So I tuned into the Indy race from St. Petersburg from top to bottom. So these are my takeaways. Now, I'm still learning a lot of the rules. I know they got to do 2 stops. Once they got to go on sauce for at least 2 laps.
Yeah.
And then, okay, so it's 2 stops. What I found cool is when they do a pit stop, they get refueled too, real quick. It's kind of cool. So it's a little bit different than F1, of course. Now, I don't dislike anyone on the circuit yet because it's my first race, right? So I will say this, though. Very exciting because the top 3 guys that got pole, they weren't even in the top 3 winners of the race. So I think qualifying's not as important in it. I mean, it's important, but it's not as important. I think strategy is huge in IndyCar. I think his name is Alex Palou.
Yeah.
He's an awesome driver.
Yeah.
So he takes the lead, and but the problem was that he was going to lap. He was getting close to a car he was going to lap. But in Indy, the difference is that car that's going to be lapped doesn't have to let him through
on the first time through.
Yes. So he had like a 5-second lead on Joseph Newgarden, and it went down to half a second because he couldn't get by him. So he kept slowing and slowing. And then the veteran, I think Scott Dixon, ends up getting second. Newgarden just passes the line because he ran out of fuel and his tires were giving up. I just thought it was fantastic. And the most impressive part to me is that Scott Dixon, and he might be the early leader for Hernan's fan club, he did the whole race with no radio because his radio bugged out, and he did his own strategy while he was driving. Like and he finished second at 40. I think he's 45 years old, Joaquin. So. Yeah. I will say this. I think it's my first. There's way more passing. There's way more stories. There's way more strategy, and I found it exciting, man. Like it was.
It was good. It was good. I had to go do some family stuff, but while I was watching, that was the one rule that I picked up. There was a problem with those soft tires too. They were. It was good to hear Hinchcliffe and
so good
Buxton again. Yeah. Like, it was really good commentators. So you can see why Fox dropped a ton of dough on these guys, right? Because it's so informative throughout the race. But and that's the one rule that they wanted to kind of, and I think back in the day you could, but F1 has a rule that you'll see if you're a lapped car, so you'll get what's called a blue flag, and you'll have to let the leaders through. But in Indy, on that first, you can race still wheel to wheel, so you don't allow that person to lap you on that first. If they go around a second time, because there's so many cars in Indy, right? So the second time you will get a blue flag, and there was talk about them implementing that back in F1, which I think would be great. Right? Because all it does is the possibility of eliminating, a race in the case where a guy just gets out to a huge lead and he's just on basically a Sunday drive at that point. If he has to try to pass the last place guy and they're not giving it up, it provides another opportunity for the rest of the pack to kind of move up, right? So it just provides more exciting racing. I guess you don't want crashes, obviously.
No.
You don't want to pull a Latifi and cause someone else to win a championship here, but it was pretty cool to me. Pretty cool to watch.
Yeah, and the first lap, 3 cars out, they all collided. Yeah. Will Power, one of them. I just honestly, Gage, and again, once I get more invested in drivers I like, drivers I don't like, everybody seemed to be on their best behavior. Everybody was getting along. There was no animosity in yesterday's race, but it was just fun, man. Like it was really good racing too. Like the camera shots. Yeah. From the helmet are awesome, fast. Like you said, Hinchcliffe and Will Buxton are phenomenal. Like Will Buxton's great. It's just like F1, like the pregame, the postgame, the in-between stuff. They get all the interviews. I know a lot of the names and a lot of the guys that run the teams because I read that Indy split. So like AJ Foyt, I know all of them now, and I'm like, okay, I know who this is. I know what he does. The top 3 teams, like the constructors, all had the top 5 finishes, I think. Well, they had, sorry, excuse me. Everybody gets a point, which is kind of crazy. So there's a lot more. You know what, Gage? And nothing against F1, because I know F1's evolved. Because before we got into it, I think F1 was really boring. Because like if Lewis took the lead in lap 1, he would never give it up. Now you're seeing a little bit more passing. You're seeing a little bit more, challenging at the top. And like Tim Herron, he said when he joined us a couple weeks ago, this season might be the best yet because there might be 4 or 5 teams in the hunt for the championship, which I hope. But I got to say, IndyCar first impression, I give it 2 thumbs up, man. It was fun. It was exciting. I just got to learn more about the rules and then find the teams and drivers I'm going to cheer for, right? Because then you're even more invested in it. But it was absolutely great. And I'm intrigued about the ovals too, right? Like it's different, right? You're just going around and a little bit different. It was funny because A-Rod did the 2-seater car before the race. And they were interviewing him while he was in the car. You should have heard him, man. He was pooping himself. It was hilarious. Yeah. He was like, don't ever do this again. Don't even do this again. But Gage, I got to say, it was fun. I'm really into it. I'm looking forward to the second race here and see what we do.
Milwaukee, I believe, is the next race.
Yeah. So it's going to be fun. I'm kind of glad I tuned in, and it was great. The only bad thing is you have to pay to watch qualifying, like on a streaming service. You can't. They don't have it like F1 has everything here on TSN. So that's the only difference, I would say. You're not a big wrestling guy, are you?
I was the Attitude Era, buddy. That was it.
Because John Cena turned heel over the weekend.
I heard that.
Huss said he cried for 30 minutes straight or 3 hours straight. And I saw
we should get Filthy Bruce on and see get what
he was there live in Toronto. Yeah, he was there live. So I have a hot
Dusty
take.
has him on his show this week, doesn't he? I think or something. That'd be a good one.
I was texting my boy Brian Swain. He's a big wrestling guy, and I was like, now I can get on board with Cena. And he's like, man, I don't even know what to do with myself. Like he was crushed. And this was yesterday. Yeah, he was still like, I don't. And I've because we always had the argument because I'm the same way. I haven't watched really wrestling in like Attitude Era and all that. Like I'll dabble once. Like if it's on, I'll put on Raw. I don't know what's going on, but I'll laugh and be entertained. I always found John Cena's character so cheesy, and I know I'm gonna get ripped for that. Like it was such a cheese fest. And now that he's gone heel, I'm like, okay, now I can get on board. But like, I don't know. Hey,
sometimes when you can play the heel, it not that he's not famous already, right? But
yeah,
I mean, I think that changed. If The Rock doesn't go heel, I don't think he does as many movies, right? Like it was a significant part in his life that changed the way people looked at him.
Yeah. So I don't know. 81 thumbs up. Get slow, guys. Just do it. Come on. What do we got to do to get 100? Joaquin, what would you do for 100?
I guess I got to say that Pickard should play or whatever. I guess that's it. Everyone's,
you took a lot of heat for that.
Change the diapers, you guys.
That
Jeez.
Pickard should play tomorrow.
Wow.
And he might. James Barrow says Skinner, Arvidsson, Stetcher, Kapanen, Emerson, Podkolzin was adding. What is your confidence that the management will make the right choice? Well, James, sure. I mean, Stetcher, did you really need to sign him in the offseason? Probably not. I don't mind Emerson. I think he's coming into his own. I think he's going to be a good defenseman. I don't think he's going to be a top-end defenseman, but he's going to be a good, solid, and he's young, and you can still probably sign him up for cheap, but he's good. Kapanen, I get it. Podkolzin, I mean, he can't do no wrong in the city, so I don't know why people are upset about that one. Now, James, Skinner Arvidsson on July 1st when the Oilers announced it, if you're sitting there saying you knew it was going to go this way, I'm sorry, but I don't believe you. Everybody was excited Skinner Arvidsson got signed on July 1st. Now, it hasn't worked out, and you're right on that. It hasn't. They don't fit in with Draisaitl. They're not producing. Skinner can't seem to get a regular run in the lineup. So I understand that aspect. But let's not sit here and act like back in July 1st, we were all like, oh, what a horrible signing, Arvidsson and Skinner. Trust me. I was on Twitter. No. I was listening to all the shows, and I heard it all, and there wasn't one negative comment about those signings. Not one.
Everyone was fired up about it. I know we got Sara Orlesky coming up here. Do you know how many, just looking at the Jets, you know how many no movement clauses the Jets currently have on their roster?
1.
3.
Okay.
I mean, I bet you can name the, like, Scheifele, Hellebuck, and Morrissey, right? They're 3 best players.
Yeah.
Boom. They have, I think, 1, 2, 3, 1,
So
2,
that makes sense.
3, 4, 5 modified no movements, right? So
Yeah.
there's still the possibility, but you get your all 3 of your best players in each area. So your top defenseman, your top forward, and your number 1 guy in net. That's who you should delegate with no movement clauses, right? Because those are your pillars. That's who you want to build your team around. Yeah, it's like Christmas in Edmonton here.
Zedmo, trade nude. You can't. He has a full no movement. Big Brain J says, I would try to trade Busch and Skinner to San Jose for Ferraro and Askarov. Listen, I know Busch hasn't been good defensively, but I'm not trading a guy that can be your top pairing defenseman for many, many years for a third pairing guy. Sorry. That's like we need to pump the brakes on the Busch trade. Does he need to get better? 100% he does. But and I don't agree with paying him 10, 11 either. Don't get me wrong, but you're not trading him for a third pairing defenseman.
Look, just next time, like tomorrow night, for all the people that are wanting to got pitchforks out and are ready to chase Busch out of town. Just watch him on a shift, like and you'll see his value at times. Like his passing ability is elite. The way he can view the ice is elite. Yeah, like you just said, Nancy, the play has to get better. It has to, right?
Yeah.
But he is an elite puck moving defenseman, and those things do not grow on trees.
No, and like yesterday we were at a family function, and everybody loves the Oilers, and they're like, "Hey, are we getting Binnington?" I was like, "No." St. Louis is 1 point out of the playoffs. Why are they trading their goaltender to the Oilers?
Trade a guy that could make a difference in a 7-game series, at least one for sure.
I was like, of course I'd want Binnington. Like, I mean, I'm not saying no, but like, it's not going to happen. Like, it's and Boucher got his first power play goal, even though it's an empty netter.
Hey, they don't ask how. At least he got one.
Smitty the Wonder
I heard a guy jumps up, Bush, and yell, Bush out, power play goal.
Dusty was the happiest. He's been betting on that for 2 months already.
Oh yeah,
he finally got it. Smitty the Welder. I watch him every shift, and it's more bad than good. I mean, sure, I don't watch him every shift, but listen, he's really good in the offensive zone. He's really bad in the defensive zone. Where last year he was really good on both ends. So that's where you want him to get back to. But you're not going to trade this guy right now. It's not realistic. And for the first time in a long time, Kulak took the most ice time from defenseman, and well-deserved because he was awesome. Lee was awesome. And when Bouchard does sign that big contract, oh boy, that's going to be a spicy one. All right, coming up next, we're going to head to Winnipeg and talk to Sara Orlesky. She's the senior host and producer for the Jets, and we'll get a good idea of what's going on with the Jets. What are they thinking ahead of the trade deadline? Hopefully our Winnipeg audience joins us for that as well. Slam those thumbs up. Hit us up on the River Cree inbox, 780-218-9999. We're back with Sara Orlesky after the break.
The Oilers practice this morning saw a couple notable absences, including Ekholm, Arvidsson, and Kulak. The Swedes took the option when given it, and Kulak is sick and not expected to miss any time. 6 games across the NHL feature in the Battle of New York taking place at MSG when the Rangers host the Islanders. Ottawa meets up with the Caps in Washington, and the Lightning head across the state to face off against the Panthers, who will be without Matthew Tkachuk for the rest of the season. They are hopeful, however, his groin will be good to go for playoffs. 7 games in the association, including Golden State and Charlotte. The Mavs welcome the Kings, and the Rockets hit the road to tip off against the West-leading Thunder. T. Higgins is sticking around for another season with the Bengals, as the team has placed the franchise tag on him for the 2nd straight year. This sports update is presented by Windsor Plywood Leduc.
2 guys and a goalie.
I'll probably watch a lot of Emberson, see how he handles this type of forward check, because as the season goes on, especially come playoff, it gears up to another level where you have to start making decisions a lot quicker. He's going to have to find another level. It's a good place where he's at now. You're going to need more from him.
2 guys and a goalie, presented by GS Construction. Tuesday and Thursday afternoons at noon, only on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
Your home for live music and great performances is the River Cree Resort and Casino. Don't miss the internationally recognized tribute, the Alan Jackson Experience, April 18th at the River Cree Resort and Casino. Get your tickets at rivercreeresort.com. River Cree Resort and Casino. Excitement? Bet on it.
Celebrating 70 years in the signage industry, William Huff Advertising is the most recognized name in the game. An in-house, one-stop shop for all of your design, print, and installation needs. William Huff provides quality graphic solutions for everyone. Here in our City of Champions and throughout the nation, they are the preferred signage partner entrusted by many of the biggest corporations, pro sports teams, and organizations to bring their identity to life. Recognize the name, get in the game. WilliamHuff.com.
Play more tables and games.
Play more tables and games. Make the most of your bad game. Oh, you want to, you need to, you know just what you've got to do. It's time to add some fun to your life. Make the most of your bad game. Play more tables and games. PlayMoreGames.ca.
Test. Can you hear me? No sound. Oh, everyone can hear me. I can't hear. Well, good. About time. Good. Thanks for letting me know. I didn't say something silly. There we go.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
All right.
People could only hear me. God.
Yes.
Show was really good there for like 15 seconds.
Mondays, eh? All right, we're going to start our tour around Canadian cities, see what they're going to do at the deadline and check in on them. And to do that, we head to Winnipeg first. One of our favorite guests, she joined us earlier on in the year, and it was an absolute hit, and we're happy to bring her back. Senior host and producer for the Winnipeg Jets, Sara Orlesky joins us. Sara, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and I could hear everyone the entire time.
All right. Sorry for the chaos there, but yeah, some people could hear Gager, some people could hear me, but we got it all sorted out.
It's the worst feeling when you're hosting, and all of a sudden there's issues with the microphones, and yeah, I can only imagine the feeling of panic for all of you.
Yeah.
But you guys sound great.
Oh, thank you so much. Sarah, before we get to some deadline talk, I mean, this team is coming off an 11-game win streak. They've dropped their last 2. I mean, is this just a little hiccup? Because this team is quite the wagon so far this year.
Yeah, I think it absolutely is. In fact, I like some of the way that they've played at times. Now, granted, I didn't think that they had necessarily their best effort throughout a lot of that game against Philadelphia, but it's just a blip on the radar as far as I'm concerned. You look at this Jets team, you look at the way that they have played, the way that they found different ways to have success. Certainly, I think that they will be back to their winning ways undoubtedly in short order. But they've run into some hot goaltenders. Their power play, which had been so potent throughout much of the season, has gone cold for the last 5 games. And so this team is not, throughout this season, has not been a juggernaut in terms of blowing other teams out of the water. You haven't seen it's not like they've been on any of their streaks, whether it be their historic start to the season or this last streak. It's not as if it's been 6-1 games, 7-1 games, but they have found ways to win. They are a good team. They're a complete team. You're never going to win all the rest of the games on your schedule. They'll get back to the win column, I'm sure, in short order.
Sarah, Canadian markets are unique. Obviously, going through a 5-game losing skid here in Edmonton, the sky is falling and everything tastes bad, and everyone is going crazy. Obviously, the Winnipeg Jets over the last little bit have been on the other side of that. But what's the pulse of the Winnipeg Jet fan right now? Are they a little bit worried because of this success at this time of the year? Because this is the time when in a few months and game 83, that's when you want those 11-game winning streaks to start. What is the overall view of this Jets team? Are they confident that they can do something special this year? Or are they a little bit worried with this recent success and maybe not having that, those valleys through the regular season that build that confidence to go through struggles when they do happen?
Well, I think they have faced different adversity this season. As I said, it's not as if they haven't been that juggernaut. Remember the year that Boston finished with whatever number of points they had, 130 plus, but the Jets have faced adversity this season, and there hasn't been a panic with them. I think that, all of these moments, whether it is going up against a hot goaltender, whether it is struggling at times to be able to find your scoring touch, the chances have been there recently, which is what the most, obviously the most important would be results, but it's not as if they haven't been generating opportunities. And I think that there's a lot of excitement amongst this fan base because you look at how this team has gotten contributions throughout the lineup all season long. They haven't had to rely on just their top line with Kyle Connor, Mark Scheifele, and Gabriel Velarde. They haven't had to just rely on their power play. They found different ways to win. But at the end of the day, look, this is a team that's going to be judged, like so many, but this is a team that's going to be judged by what they're able to do in the postseason because they've had successful regular seasons before, and it hasn't translated into the postseason. So now that's where that next step is. But they are playing a fun brand of hockey to watch. They aren't lulling teams to sleep. It's not this defensive battle where you're trying to eke out games 2-1. So this has been a lot of fun to be able to watch. The atmosphere in the rink has been great. So there's a lot of excitement for surrounding this team in terms of this fan base. And I think a lot of people look at this group as saying, okay, this is a team that this year you think can do damage in the postseason, perhaps more than what we've seen in some of the more recent seasons. And so there's optimism for it. But again, I think that as much as everyone loves the regular season success, and it does, and there was talks today before the team left for this 4-game road trip that they're on about, okay, well, how important is it for you to win the President's Trophy? Does it matter? And this team is very focused on game 83 and beyond. They aren't overlooking any of the games in order to get there. They want to get their game right, but this is a team that knows that they need to take that next step as well. And I think that when you look at what they have done so far, again, this is the team that out of the most recent seasons would give me the most optimism to think that they could do more damage this year. And even though we haven't seen Connor Hellebuck's regular season success translate into postseason success, I feel as if he's playing on a different level this year than even what we saw previous year. And so there is that opportunity there for this team now to capture this city's imagination even more than they already have.
Senior host and producer for the Winnipeg Jets, Sara Orlesky, joining us here on EST Afternoon. Sara, so looking at this lineup, the Jets do have the cap space, but there's not a lot of holes. I mean, if I look at this whole roster, maybe a depth defenseman, what do you think the Jets, how busy do you think they will be come Friday's trade deadline, and where would they be looking to add?
I think that, I mean, where would I add, or where will Kevin Cheveldayoff add? So I think that, look, we've seen in recent seasons Kevin Cheveldayoff very active around the deadline in terms of adding, whether it be higher profile pieces. You think of players like Sean Monahan was acquired last year, Tyler Toffoli. We've seen him acquire depth players along the way as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Also, of course, at this time of year, you need not only two to tango in terms of as another team, but you also have to have the players in some sense be able to buy in with no trade moves, limited no trade clauses that we often see. Look, it's no secret that a number of players would have Winnipeg on their no trade list. So what I think acquire would be that depth defenseman, yes, someone on that third pairing, but someone that I think they need players that are able to also move up if need be. And so if you're looking up front, we always talk about a second line center role here. Vladislav Nemesnikov has performed in that role well, but do you want someone maybe that can play in your bottom six, but also has that ability to move up if need be? Because if they are going to make a long playoff run, then inevitably injuries are going to happen and your depth is going to be tested in that respect. I personally would love to see someone acquired that also has experienced postseason success international success. We haven't seen a lot of best on best, obviously, so that's much more limited, but somebody that's had that playoff experience, that has been able to, that knows the rigors of what it takes to go through, 2 rounds, 3 rounds, or has won a cup, and just understands what it takes. Because although I think that for many players last year, that first round loss against Colorado, when they spoke to the media at the end, I thought, okay, I feel as if maybe this time it was such a drastic change from the way the Avalanche played them at the end of the regular season to what they saw in the postseason, that maybe it was a little bit of an awakening for some of the Jets players. Some additional maturity we've seen from them this year, but I do think that maybe someone with some additional experience would be a great benefit as well. But this is also a team, you say all of that, this is a team that also has a lot of chemistry right now in a room. And so, I always think that that's one of those things that certainly has to be weighed heavily, that you want to add, but you want to make sure that you add in players that are going to be able to fit in and that aren't going to disrupt the chemistry of the team, because this is a group it's a close dressing room. They get along really well. They've played well together in the variety of roles that Scott Arniel has had to put players in. And so I think that it's also that fine balance that you don't want to mess too much with what's been a good thing.
Yeah, you mentioned, Sarah, only one team gets it right. But you mentioned Connor Hellebuck looking like a Hart caliber trophy season. Is going into the playoffs, does he have the most pressure on on his shoulders going in, or is it Scheifele, or is it the coaching staff? Where do you think the most pressure on this team is going into the first round of the playoffs?
Look, I think the biggest question marks are going to surround Connor Hellebuyck. They do, because he hasn't been at his best in recent postseason series. You know, you haven't gotten to the end. It's one thing if you get to the end and you lose the series and you go, well, you know, we had our goaltender was the best goaltender, you know, most of the time, but it didn't work out on you know, whatever the deciding game or that. And that hasn't been the case when it comes to Connor Hellebuyck. And so I think that the biggest question marks going in will certainly, and the storyline surrounding, people will want to see what Connor Hellebuyck can do this postseason, but it can't all be on his shoulders. I mean, he needs to have, you know, sometimes, even though he needs to have that game where he steals the game, and we haven't seen that in the postseason. But he needs to have that run support. He needs to have guys being able to step up so that he's not left alone on a number of 2-on-1s and put in situations that are almost no-win situations at times. So it's on the entire team, obviously. It's never on just one player. But do I think from the outside, the biggest question mark going in will be, what do we see from Connor Hellebuyck? For sure, I think that's going to be one of the biggest storylines going in.
Sarah, great stuff as always. An exciting week for all Canadian teams, as we'll see what they do at the deadline. And your partner there was a hit here on Edmonton Sports Talk during the Four Nations, Jamie Thomas. He loves coming on Edmonton Sports. He was an absolute beauty, and the fans absolutely loved him. So say hi to Jamie Thomas for us, Sarah.
You can't say stuff like that, because his head is just going to get that much bigger. The big grin that he has is going to get that much wider, and then he's going to be unbearable to deal with.
Okay,
so I will tell him that you guys thought that he was satisfactory and that you expect more from him next time.
Yeah, let's just keep that between us. Maybe don't tell him, because we don't want him to get too big for us, right?
Exactly. If he doesn't come on your show anymore, you'll know why. It's because he'll be like, no, I did such a great job. I can't go on there anymore. I'm big time. He's going to be waiting for, I don't know, Fallon, or he's going to say, move over Matthew Tkachuk.
All right,
the world needs Jamie Thomas.
Great stuff as always. Thank you so much for taking the time. All the best here as we close out the season. I'm sure we'll talk as we head into the playoffs.
I look forward to it. It's so nice to chat with you guys. Enjoy the rest of your show.
Sara Orlesky, senior host and producer for the Winnipeg Jets, joining us here on Edmonton Sports Talk. Yeah, it's a good question, Gager. Who's the pressure most on? Connor Hellebuyck? Is it that veteran kind of core that they have there?
Yeah.
The Scheifele's, the Ellers, the Lowrys, right? Or is it the coaching staff, which is first year under Arneal? It's going to be interesting. I didn't want to ask. You kind of asked about it, but the President's Trophy curse. I wonder if Winnipeg fans are like, you know what? We'll finish second in the overall league, still first in the West, but let Washington win the President's Trophy, because we want nothing to do with it.
Well, I think Washington fans would appreciate it more, right? Like, it's like a banner raising of it is it's kind of a participation ribbon. To most, if you ask most players, of course it's it's significant, and having home ice, the whiteout, I think would be beneficial for the Winnipeg Jets. But saying that, you look at their past, Connor Hellebuyck not having the greatest of playoffs since kind of the bubble here against Edmonton, right, where he kind of looked like Connor Hellebuyck, and Scheifele with the massive 200-foot hit and suspension, right? So it was interesting to me, because they've always seemed like a team that's on the cusp of doing something special, and I mean, no more than this season. Like, we've seen the winning streaks that they're able to put together. They fascinate me, and definitely I'll have my eyes on whoever they play in the first round, because it'll be I think it'll be a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, it's gonna be fascinating to watch that team. Because I think for them it's not so much the President's Trophy, whatever. For them it's almost now, okay, we need to have success in the playoffs. Like the regular season, we're always good. we're always one of the top teams, and unfortunately for them, last year they met the Colorado Avalanche. Like that wasn't fair.
But the first game they manhandled them though. Like Lowry had, I believe it was 2 goals and completely dominated against McKinnon. And so it was like, oh, here we go. It was the house of cards fell apart after that. But you know what? It was really. I was happy for Winnipeg fans when they were able to sign Scheifele and Hellebuck on long-term deals.
Yeah.
Right. That was huge, I think, for not only the city but the organization, and to a lot of other players. Morrissey, look, we're keeping the band together. Sara just went into it. This is a tight-knit group, and that's what you want. You want Cheveldayoff pondering, well, do I disrupt the chemistry of this team, right? Do I really need that impact player? Because I think I have a team that's well, that's woven together quite well, and you don't want to start pulling on some of those threads and sewing some new color in, because the sweater might look like crap.
It's going to be interesting because I think the wild card teams are going to be really good. It's either going to be Minnesota, Dallas, or Colorado as one of them, and that's really unfortunate if we're ever has to be one of those teams. And then you're getting either Utah, St. Louis, Calgary, or Vancouver, who just get in, baby, right? It's we've seen that a bunch of times that they don't have the best regular seasons, but in the playoffs they turn it on. So it's definitely going to be a fun postseason for sure, and I hope for Winnipeg they do well in these playoffs and go far as well. Portions of this hour brought to you by the Canadian Brewhouse. UFC 314 is going down at the Canadian Brewhouse April 12th. Catch the action on most TVs with epic food and drinks. Don't miss it. Our house is your house, the Canadian Brewhouse. All right, coming up next, we'll close it out, get you set for Reed Wilkins and Jay Milne. They got a fun show. They'll talk a lot of Oilers as well. They'll be joined by handsome Luke Gazdick as they'll take you right up until 6. We will continue the Oilers talk and whatever else you guys want to talk about to close out this Monday afternoon. This is EST Afternoons. Hernan Salas, Joaquin Gage. Hit us up on the Nasty Chat or on the River Cree inbox, 780-218-9999. We're back after the break. Here's B with your sports update.
The Oilers practice this morning saw a couple notable absences, including Ekholm, Arvidsson, and Kulak. The Swedes took the option when given it. Kulak is sick but not expected to miss any time. 6 games across the NHL, featuring the Battle of New York taking place at MSG. When the Rangers host the Islanders, Montreal meets up against the Sabres at the Bell Center, and the Lightning head across the state to face off against the Panthers, who will be without Matt Tkachuk for the remainder of the season. They are hopeful that his groin will be good for playoffs. 7 games in the association, including Detroit and Utah. The Sixers welcome the Blazers, and the Rockets hit the road to tip off against the West leading Thunder. The Toronto Tempo, the newest WNBA expansion franchise, has announced that tennis legend Serena Williams is joining the ownership group. The boys will wrap up the show after the break. My name is Brendan Eric, and you are up to date.
Get your fix every single game with the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame and postgame shows with Tom Gazzola and Hernan Salas. Whether it's breaking down the starting lineup, predicting key matchups, or diving deep into the game's biggest moments, Tom and Hernan are here to give you the best insight and analysis in the city. After the final horn, get the breakdown of every key moment, performance, and player reactions. It's your one-stop shop for all things game day. Catch the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame and postgame shows with Tom Gazzola and Hernan Salas, only on Edmonton Sports Talk, your clear choice for Edmonton sports.
Take your career to the next level with Nate's Construction Leadership and Supervision Program, a perfect tool for professionals looking to advance their role or an organization needing to develop leaders. Learn more about safety supervision, scheduling, cost control, and most importantly, how to lead a team. For more information and to register, visit nate.ca/CLSP to take your career to another level.
Since 1952, William Huff has been the heartbeat of Edmonton's advertising world. From humble beginnings to a citywide powerhouse, we've been the go-to for signage from print to design and installation. Partnering with Edmonton's top sports franchises and major events, we've helped shape the city's global reputation. Our secret? Unmatched customer service, decades of experience, and a passion for excellence we call the William Huff Advantage. Visit us online at williamhuff.com.
Looking for quality building materials and friendly advice? Visit us at Windsor Plywood Leduc, family owned and locally run since 1993. From interior materials for doors, flooring, baseboards, and all the finishing touches to all you need for your outdoor projects like cedar lumber for decks and fences, plus all the plywood you'd need. Our full-time on-staff carpenter can help with anything odd-sized or custom, and from domestic hardwoods to exotic selections, we've got you covered. And if we don't have it, we'll track it down for you. Windsor Plywood Leduc. We're the experts you need to know.
.247, final segment here on Edmonton Sports Talk, EST Afternoons from the William Huff studio. Well, Hernan and Brendan are in the William Huff. Joaquin is at home taking care of a ill child, which is that's the way she goes sometimes, Gager. That's the way she goes.
It's the way way it goes, buddy.
That's the way it goes. In Ellers We Trust says, how are those Edmonton Oilers doing? Speaking of gold. Boy.
I just saw one in the nasty chat. Like, it's funny, like the different markets, right? So everyone views their team a little bit differently. Yeah. And or no, it was Chief Andy. Never mind. I don't know if he just said that Winnipeg needs a better backup. Which is, I mean, if you can get to a point where that's your number one concern, I think that's pretty good.
That's the biggest problem. And then you brought up a good point. Like, they have 11 mil in cap space. It doesn't mean you have to go spend it. Like you said, the chemistry, like they're rolling right now. Like, sure, you're probably going to add one or two players, but don't go up messing that chemistry there, because it's happened before and doesn't work out. So we'll see what happens.
When you're for a team, you know, a group of guys, you're spilling blood in the same mud over 82 games, and then all of a sudden, a guy that the guy next to you that you've worked hard to get to a certain point, and all of a sudden he gets bumped down in the lineup or out of the rotation and stuff. They're all professionals, look, but and you have to be at that. But it's still the same type of thing, you know. You create a close knit bond over that course of time, and building up that chemistry isn't always automatic too, right? Mm-hmm. And anytime you start messing with that a little bit, it can really have ill effects towards the chemistry of your group, and you got to be careful.
Do you think the Oilers are going to jump the gun here and make a trade before Friday?
Yeah. Well,
interesting, right?
Yeah, but what is it going to be like? Because I'm sure that
a goalie.
No,
I'm kidding.
Come on.
Well, because people now are sending. I wish they would have sent this in earlier. Chicago now has Spencer Knight, Mrazek, and Is it Soderblom?
Yeah.
So people are like, "Ooh, why don't the Oilers go there?" Or Well, Spencer Knight I'd take, but Mrazek an upgrade, Soderblom an upgrade.
These guys have just been beat down all year. I think you're fine with what you got. Again, these are, say what you want about their play, but this team has gone to battle with Stu Skinner and Calvin Pickard for a long period of time here. They're their boys, So now you're going to bring another guy in and have someone, not even practice with the team, or, 3 goalies on a team sucks. It really, really sucks, because usually you have the one guy starting, he takes the one net, the other guys kind of rotate. Yeah. It's just, it's horrible. It's absolutely horrible.
I think the Oilers did that one year when they had that Morrison guy. I can't remember his first name for the life of me. It was Morrison. They had 3 goalies, and it's just not they even said they didn't like it.
No, you talk to any goalie about that. It sucks. Like, training camp, there's like 4 goalies, and you're trying to all rotate to get in there to get reps, and it's, you're counting the guy that's in. It goes, well, that's 10. Well, I'm going to take 10. So you count 10. Well, I'll take 2 more, and then another guy's counting off the side. Well, he just took 12. It's we're weird people.
We definitely are. So tomorrow the plan is, of course, 66, and then at 6 we'll jump. It's been a while since we've had a home game. At 6 o'clock, Tom Gazzola will jump on with the GCL Diesel Oil Stream pregame show as the Oilers host the Anaheim Ducks. Who would you start in net? I say Cal Pick. My buddy Joaquin says Stewie Skins. Most of our nasties said Calvin Pick. I think only one other person agreed with Gager, but that's okay. Gager's a goalie, and he's probably right. So we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Of course I'm right.
From morning skate. We'll see who's going to get the start in net. But that's a game you should win. I don't care who's in net. Like, you got to win.
It's a game you have to win.
Yo,
right?
Yeah.
Like, you had a poor road trip. You come home. There's no excuse. You have to get these 2 points, right? This is not the case where a lackluster first 10 coming home, first game off a road trip. This team needs to build and get better. Mm-hmm. I think they had to rely on their goaltending too much, right? Mm-hmm. In that game. So there's a lot of things that they need to clean up. They should be a boa constrictor, anaconda eating a pig, right?
This is like an anaconda taking down a pig.
Peter, what do you guys think of giving Pickard the next 2 starts and letting Skinner get prepared for Dallas on Saturday? I think it's either going to be one of it. I think they're going to split the week games, Anaheim, Montreal, and then I think it's going to be Skinner on Saturday. So, listen, if Pickard goes in tomorrow and has another outstanding game, I don't know. Maybe, but this coaching staff, again, they're loyal to their guys, and Stuart Skinner, Calvin Pickard are both their guys, but they know that Stuart Skinner is their number one. Whether you agree with it or not, he is. I'm not saying he's great and he's been outstanding. No, he needs to play better. And I just want to say one thing, too. Like, now that trade deadline, like, I was on X yesterday, and just, like, some people
Ecstasy?
are just...
Where were you? You go to party?
No, on X. Twitter.
Twitter. Jeez.
Some people were like
glow sticks. Glow sticks in a tank top. Sweet, buddy.
And some people were losing it, like insulting people and threatening people. And it's like, guys, it's hockey, it's sports. Like, I know you want your team to make trades and it's fun and it's exciting, but let's pump the brakes on. Some people are just taking this way too far, and just pump the brakes. You're entitled to your opinion. We all respect it, but don't be one of those people insulting and threatening and making it personal. Like, it's okay, guys. We're going to be okay. When the Oilers get a goalie, a top 4 defenseman, and a forward on Friday, holy smokes, we're going to be rolling. Of course, I don't know if that's going to happen, but dreaming is free, my friends. Dreaming is free. All right, we did hit 100 thumbs up. It was a grind, though, just like the Oilers win on Saturday. It took a while to get there, but we did. Big shout out to Sara Orlesky. She was fantastic. We'll post up a clip with Sara as well, and probably our hot takes on the goaltending as well. Go to Spotify, Apple, wherever you get podcasts, and just follow us, EST Afternoons, and every show on Edmonton Sports Talk. Tomorrow, we'll preview Oilers Ducks and have a lot more fun. Joaquin Gage, Hernan Salas, and Brendan Eric with you. Also, coming up now, the Reed Wilkins Show with Jay Mellon. So keep it locked here on Edmonton Sports Talk. For Brendan, for Joaquin, I'm Hernan Salas saying enjoy the rest of the sunny Monday afternoon and the evening. We'll chat tomorrow. Chowders.